What are you hearing about the Thunder's plans for Chris Paul? You just heard Jalen allude to it, a lot of people talking about this, that they need to move him or will move him.
No, they started that process last night. As soon as this trade was agreed to, Sam Presti talking with Chris Paul's agents, and the conversation with Miami was ongoing prior to the deal that got Chris Paul to Oklahoma City. He's 34 years old. He wants to be on a team that has playoff aspirations, and certainly for Oklahoma City, their ability to move him on will be based on, I think, teams' willingness to take on 3 years, $120 million plus on a player who certainly showed his age last season. And, that's part of the reason Chris Paul was traded out for Russell Westbrook. But Miami, with Jimmy Butler, who they acquired in a sign and trade in the offseason, they don't have cap space. They are limited in draft assets moving forward. Their ability to get better is going to be through trade and a willingness to take on some salaries and some players in their 30s that others may not be willing to. The market for Chris Paul is going to be small, but Miami's at the top of that list. They'd like to try to get that deal done as soon as they can. And I was told there's some other teams, too, that are going to be discussed, but their hope in getting this deal done with Chris Paul was that he doesn't play a game in a Thunder uniform.
Okay, interesting stuff there. Woj, you mentioned some other teams. It seems like Miami's at the top of the list anyway for taking on CP3's contract. Is there anybody else that we should be looking out for who might take him on?
No, I think Miami is the focus right now, and they'll try to find a way to get a deal done with the Heat. And if not, certainly they'll open up that conversation. But you look at rosters around the league and you try to figure out, where Chris Paul would fit at 34 years old with that kind of money. It's a very short list. It probably begins and ends with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra and the Heat.
All right, great stuff. Thank you so much, Adrian Wojnarowski, with all the reporting on this. And, of course, we'll hear more from Woj later on. But when you hear that and CP3 potentially going to the Heat, all of this, everybody kind of said, well, wait a second, CP3 is going to end up with the Thunder. The plan here, obviously, is not for him to be with the Thunder. He's going to go, sounds like, to the Heat. What do you think?
And I want to talk to gentlemen like the fine esteemed coach we have here.
Fine esteemed, my goodness. Wow.
Speaking on Chris Paul like he's done. He isn't. Mark my words, when Chris Paul gets to the Eastern Conference, he's going to play at an all-star level.
You love the Eastern Conference thing.
Yeah.
You will love the Eastern Conference
because
thing.
the Eastern Conference backcourt is a revolving door. John Wall is injured. He was a perennial all-star. D'Angelo Russell was a first-time all-star. He's not in the East anymore. There's going to be spots open. And if Chris Paul is able to land in Miami with Jimmy Butler, they're going to be a playoff team. He's going to be a guy to get you over 15 points. He's going to get you a guy to get you over 8 assists. He's going to be playing at an all-star level. Assist to turnover, going to be one of the best in the league. Mark my words.
Chris Paul, look, the Heat are desperate taking on Chris Paul because, let's face it, he's 34 years old as a point guard with the ball in his hand, with no backup probably, because you know what? Let's face it. If he goes to Miami, they're going to have to move Dragic. So, I mean, to me, look, Chris Paul, 27% from the three-point line in the playoffs. Yes, can he orchestrate a team? No doubt about it. Does he have a high basketball IQ? No doubt about it. Is he competitive? Maybe sometimes to a fault? No doubt about it. But you know what? He's 34. He's going to be 35. How many years does he have left for $140 million?
I think he has a couple of years left.
At what level?
I think he can play at a starter level that can play at an all-star level on a given night. Chris Paul isn't done. His usage wasn't high with the Rockets this past year based on their style of play and the emergence of James Harden.
So people have talked about maybe Chris Paul's strong personality. Do you see, let's say he does go to the Heat, do you see that fitting well just from a personality standpoint with Jimmy Butler?
He's joining a bunch of strong personalities.
Well, my point exactly.
Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, a championship DNA they have going on in Miami. That will not be an issue. And I'll tell you the number one reason why his reputation and how he barks at teammates won't be an issue. Because in Miami, they demand for you to play hard all of the time. And as long as you play...
But he's got to look in the mirror or something, too, now. Because, while he's barking, he's also got to say, if I'm going to bark, then, you know what? I've got to also play at a high level. I've got to take care of the ball. I've got to take good shots. I've got to get the ball to other people. I got to defend every possession. Look, I agree with you 100%. Eric Spoelstra, Pat Riley, you're talking about the culture of the Heat. You either get in line or you get.
I got a question
gone.
for you. Who do you feel, I'm going to give you a chance to answer. I'm asking you about point guards in the East. Think about the Eastern Conference. Who do you think are the 3 best point guards in the Eastern Conference?
Kemba,
1.
Kyle Lowry.
See, now you just saw what just happened. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you got to give me.
All right.
You got 10 seconds.
I got 10 seconds. When we come back,
All right,
we'll
who's third?
5-minute time.
Who's third?
We're so glad you're watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, make sure you subscribe to ESPN Plus. We'll see you there.